Hi, in this episode I'll be talking to Mark Wynne, the name behind the face of the popular Blue Horizon YouTube channel. Over at BREW we talk about how, after working in the financial sector, Mark decided to move to a warmer climate and combine his underwater passions and his career. He then landed in Bermuda. Do you fancy a brew?
No then.
Hey mate, how are you?
I'm alright. Literally just sat down then and I noticed Brian Davies follows you on Instagram. Have you spoke to him?
Yeah, I did an interview. You're doing the same interview I did with him last week.
How did it go? I'll not say anything. I'll pause recording if you want. Is it alright?
I know it was good actually. We were only meant to be like an hour, and it went for 2 hours.
I know it's terrible. It's
half an hour at the beginning as well, and then about 45 minutes at the end. So I think we're like 3 hours.
It's a frigging nightmare. It's easily done. I've done one of these, and I try and do it under an hour because I've done some reading that some people don't mind it because you'll listen to it over a course of different time periods or whatever. But other people prefer an hour because it's like half an hour to work and half an hour back.
Yeah.
So I've tried to keep it to an hour. I don't mind a bit of preamble and chat at the end. But before you know it, you've done an hour and 40, and then one of them went to 3 hours 10, and it was like 1:45, and I'm like, listen mate, I'm going to have to go. I want to go to bed. I try to keep my eyes open.
No, the way it came about is Brian reached out to me ages ago, you know, like Critter Hunters doing all those challenges.
Yeah.
So Critter Hunter challenged Brian, and they both emailed me saying, just so you know, we're going to challenge you. And I'm like, right, okay. And then Brian put in the video when I'm challenging you to crabs, and I'm like, shit, I've never done like, at that point I'd done like 400 or 500 dives in Bermuda and I'd never seen a single crab. So I was just like panicking how we do this, and that's kind of like why I pinged you back to John Dory, which I know is torture.
Well, only because we went into lockdown last week. So last Thursday, Friday, I was supposed to be down in Plymouth doing my JJ course. So I would have seen one, pretty much would have guaranteed to have seen one on one of the wrecks down in Plymouth. And then it got shit canned till December. Right, so Mark Wynne, welcome to Fancy a Brew podcast. Give the audience a bit of an introduction to who you are if they've not already seen you chatting on YouTube with somebody else.
Hey everyone, my name is Mark Wynne. I'm a PADI IDC staff instructor. I'm originally from Glasgow in Scotland, and I currently live in Bermuda. On the weekends I work for Dive Bermuda, a local dive operator here, and I have my own YouTube channel as well, Blue Horizon Diving, where I share my adventures under the water, mainly in Bermuda at the moment because of lockdown, but once lockdown's ended, around the world again. And that's how we finally got speaking all those months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
YouTube.
Why are you in Bermuda now then? Did you get stuck there because of the coronavirus lockdown then?
No, so it's going to sound thin. So I was actually like an investment banker, mergers and acquisitions in the oil and gas sector. So I was based up in Aberdeen, and when I finished my CA training, chartered accountant training, me and my partner, we went traveling around the world for an entire year, just backpacking, and had a blast. And then thought, do we really want to go back to Scotland in the cold weather? And you probably can understand.
That's a no-brainer, isn't it?
So we looked at jobs around the world. We had offers pretty much around Melbourne, New York, London.
Is that doing what you actually, sort of your trade as such?
Yeah, so Bermuda came up as doing my trade, and then so I thought I'd want to go to Australia, but my wife was like, no. And I went to the long hours in New York, and I saw Bermuda, Scotland, London. There was only one option. We did no research when we came out to Bermuda, like no research. Didn't even realize how expensive it was. Didn't even have a house, how you live here, what you do. We just got the jobs and thought, let's go. So we got the job offers. So I started managing the ultra high net worth individuals' money offshore. My partner, she got a job in insurance, and we were working out here. I didn't even have a house sorted, and I was already emailing the dive centre saying, instructor coming, do you have a job for me on the weekends? Pretty much. Didn't even have any accommodation sorted. Got myself a second job as a dive instructor before I'd even had a house sorted to live here. Worked in that for about 2 years, and then moved to being the financial controller of a marine conservation organisation and exploration organisation. So I've been there since September 2019 now, so which is great. So it fed into my ocean background, working for a marine conservation organisation and diving all the time in a tropical island instead of rain, every day.
So short of the obvious, your backdrop, the weather, the climate, there's got to be some other plus points to being there. Certainly working in marine conservation. Has that opened up many doors for you?
Yeah, no, I've opened up a lot of doors. So, for example, I have to do a lot of podcasts for them as well now. So, yeah, I'm finance, but I'm 20% finance, 80% operations. So I actually oversee the operations of the organisation.
Yeah.
But I do the podcasts for the organisation as well, called Ocean Hour.
Right.
I've done the episodes just now. First one was on marine plastics. Second one was speaking with organisation trying to create an island school in Bermuda. So there's a really famous island school in Bahamas where they teach you diving, ocean work. We're looking to partner with them in Bermuda and just podcast them, and also got me into the Bermuda Institute of Oceanic Sciences, BIOS, which is one of the biggest marine research facilities in the world. It's got the longest data points in the world of sea levels, temperatures, salt, salination sort of thing. And got out with them a lot, in their boats all the time, doing work with them as well. So it's opened up lots of doors. And one of the ones I'm actually really excited with is, I don't know if you've heard of the insurance company AIG.
Yeah.
National insurance company. So the family, the Stemple Foundation, are really into buying old ships, cleaning them all out and sinking them. And they've sunk about 5 in Bermuda, and it's actually got me in the door to actually work on with them in a partnership to actually look at bringing a new wreck to Bermuda, potential ex-frigate.
Real.
Thinking that. So that's got me in the door, and we've talked about it that we'll put GoPros all around the wreck as well when we sink it and stuff. It's
awesome.
about a 2-year plan. They've raised the money for it. They're looking a couple of British ones, a couple of Canadian ones just now, and then they'll take about a year to clean it, maybe 18 months to clean it, and then bring it down. And we're going to station GoPros all around the ship to sink it. So that's one thing that's opened the door for me. I cannot wait for that.
I bet you can't. So I guess you prefer doing stuff in the sea then than managing ultra high net worth people?
Yeah.
Managing their money?
Don't get me wrong, it was silly the amount of how much money people have.
Yeah.
My clients were like 200 million to 2.5 billion, from like South America to Southeast Asia. But I preferred, going from making people rich to making people even wealthier who are already rich, and then to now looking to protect the ocean. And I guess I didn't feel satisfied, if that makes sense. I've always been a diver, always been an instructor, passionate for the ocean, and when this role came, I thought I can't turn it down. Lets me get back in the water, and really in the water like during the week as well, and actually start trying to create the latest next set of advocates. We run the whole education program, the Eco Schools program in Bermuda, and all we're doing is trying to create the next generation of advocates and make people more aware of impacts the ocean's facing and what can they do while ourselves being in the water, actually trying to create MPAs as well. So it's right in my bucket for what I'm doing. It's a nice change. It just gets me in the water every day pretty much, so I can't complain with that.
I can complain, mate, because the only water I get in is the rain every day. So we definitely need a bit of change in circumstances around here, I think.
You're going to have to come and visit. There's the BA flight running from Gatwick, so you need to come out and get some diving at some point.
Let's see how this trip to Mexico goes in a couple of weeks.
And don't get COVID, because they say it's 3 months now that you're not allowed to dive and get it.
Really?
Yeah, the RTSC, with that and all them, they've advised 3 months now. If you get COVID, no diving for 3 months and get chest x-rays to get cleared. So of course, when we have tourists come here, we have to make sure that they've not had it. If they have had it, we need a doctor sign off for the chest x-ray.
Yeah.
Thing. So that's one thing. There's a lot of research going on with Dan at the moment on that, and because we're dealing with a lot of American and British tourists, we have to be very, very careful that, if we know if we find, so the medical, even the PADI medical, and I'm sure BSAC's medical's changed as well. I know PADI says the actual question they're adding in is, through the RSTC is, have you had COVID? And if you put yes, then you have to get a doctor sign off for 3 months. After 3 months, and actually adding that into the medical at the moment. I think the medical's live now with it. So it shows that it could be a big impact for divers. That's one thing you have to be careful with. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, but I sure am now, and I'll do a bit of
digging into it. I have heard this has come out in a conversation with one of my customers today about, but you need like a travel sort of document stamped now to say that you are fit to travel. So we're looking into that now. It's only, we fly out on the 3rd, which is the day after the UK comes out of lockdown, assuming we do, and assuming the flight's still on and all the rest of it. My holiday insurance, if the hotel's still running, if Lufthansa still flying, we've got so much to do. But talking a big impact, how big of an impact has it had for you, for your customer base coming out there?
Honestly, for us, we lost 94% of revenue. 94% of all customers were tourism. So our tourism got massively hit. We actually opened the borders back on the 1st of July in Bermuda to let in commercial air travel come back in, mainly from New York, Boston, Atlanta in the UK, London. So that was in Canada, Toronto. They were the ones that were coming in, and the numbers were kept quite low. It was no real issue, but we started seeing it coming up more now, the numbers and cases. But the dive operators really had to be flexible. So from running from 7 days a week, 2 trips a day, to just a Saturday, Sunday. Then it was maybe okay, we're doing quite well, let's do a Friday to Sunday. So you can imagine that absolutely killed a lot of dive operators for them. And then, of course, they couldn't get their staff in, couldn't get seasonal staff in, because, there's not many Bermudian instructors, and all the Bermudian instructors are employed. So they have to get the extra ones in. They couldn't get them in because of restrictions wherever our seasonal instructors are based, normally around the world. So it became a bit of a nightmare. So we were running, the boats carry about 35 people. We were running 15 people max on a boat, including 4 staff, captain and 3 instructors or something. So you were talking about 11 customers on the boat compared to 30 plus customers on the boat. So you can imagine how that hit really big. But what's quite good is a really active dive community in Bermuda. So a lot of the dive centres try to get creative with the locals by offering courses, by offering, let's go out, explore, we'll go to a new site, just drop anchor, jump in and go see, we don't know what it's going to be like, let's make this the year we go and discover new dive sites. So that created a lot of excitement with locals. So they picked up a lot of locals who jump on the boat because they're like, let's go out, we think there might be a wreck here, let's go out, we know there's a wreck in this area, let's just go jump out and just go try and find it. We might not, but let's go for an explore. And that really went down with like locals, instead of diving the same usual 20 sites. Do you know what I mean? So, they had to be creative. I don't know, how was it in the UK for you, diving wise? Like,
it's been hard. Although I'm a member of a club, the numbers within that club that use the boat are very reduced. Because of where I live in the northwest, so between Manchester and Liverpool, the easiest dive site operation for me to go out to will be on Anglesey, so the northwest tip of Wales. And he runs both sightseeing tours for people who are photographers or just Joe Blogs public who want to go and have a look at the puffins on Puffin Island or whatever. And he runs dive trips. So he cancelled all his dive trips because he could put more people safely on the boat on his sightseeing tours and get paid more, which makes perfect business sense. So I've not been out to sea at all this year. Although down in the south coast, where they've got hard boats, with tail lifts on and all the rest of that, that seems to have been working a lot better. There's loads of people doing the Blue Shark trips, or certainly just diving the normal dive sites around Plymouth Sound and all that. So we've done plenty of dives in the sea, but they've all been shore dives. Just we've been self-sufficient.
Okay, that must be killing you right now.
Well, I'd say the mixture of doing YouTube and doing this podcast is sort of ticking that dive box in similar ways. The only problem is I get loads of ideas from talking to people like yourself, or thoughts, I should do this, I could do that, but I can't do it. Some of the dives I can't do on my own, they're not solo dives. And then other dives I just can't get to the place. Like Wales has just come out of lockdown, so I couldn't dive Wales for the last month.
Yeah, because I heard they've had police on the border almost. They were
mate, on the junctions on the motorway, they just stop there and go, where are you going? Show us your driving licence. If it doesn't say Wales, go home. And by the way, here's a fine.
No way. Is that actually real?
Actually real. But then they came out of lockdown as we've gone in. So I'm not allowed to leave my hometown. So I couldn't go anywhere. So the nearest I've got there's a quarry about 10-15 minutes drive away. But that's shut now because it's a leisure facility. I might be getting back in my paddling pools with my 10 grand rebreather on my back, I could spend a week in it, couldn't I?
You got to get your hours up in the JK. That's what's
Mate, that's in the shower or in the rain, one or the other. Well, so while we're having a laugh, let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle because it's on your doorstep. Have you found it?
Yeah, well, this island behind me, you see, they claim that's the start of the Bermuda Triangle, and you can see the deck about 100 feet off it.
Yeah, is that the other corner?
It's the other corner. they claim it runs from Miami to Puerto Rico and back. But yeah, it's literally every tourist or everyone who sees like my videos, they go, "How are you alive? You're in the Bermuda Triangle." Or the other question you get is, "How deep do I have to go under the island?" That's the other question you get all the time. No, I mean it's great. We've got 400 wrecks here, and it's mainly all due to hurricanes and the coral reef. We have breaker line that runs the island, so it helps why Bermuda got its name for the Devil's Island, because also the tree frogs like sing at night for mating calls, and you hear them. So when the Portuguese or the British, were arriving here, they would hear all the chirping, and they thought it was like howling, and it was pigs as well. So they thought this is an evil island, and they've shipwrecked. So they were terrified, so kind of gave the island of Diablos got its name, sort of thing. And it's my opinion. It's just we're in the Hurricane Alley. We've got coral reef and human error. Do you know what I mean? That's the real reason for the triangle. But I know you'll have the people out here like, no, he's talking nonsense. There's definitely a parallel world out there somewhere.
Listen, my brother-in-law who lives in South Wales, he still swears that we live on a flat Earth. So each to their own. Let them just bump their gums as much as they want.
Not gonna lie, my mum is convinced the Bermuda Triangle is a real thing, and she's been to the island probably about 6 times and flown so many times, but it's adamant it's real. Like, you've been here, you've survived, and she went, "No, it's still real."
It just wasn't on.
It wasn't on at the time.
I see you've got quite an expensive road bike, which my wife's pretty jealous of anyway, because she wants one, and I've told her she can't have one because I needed a rebreather for nothing really. Anyway, I should imagine if that is yours, that you take your fitness pretty seriously because you take your diving pretty seriously. So how akin are the two things for you, fitness and diving?
Yeah, no, so I got my road bike. I used to do a lot of triathlons and did like Ironmans, half Ironman sort of thing. Did a lot of training for them. Just keep fit, healthy. But then when it gets here in the hot in the summer, it's humid, it's so hot, and literally even coming out of the shower, you're sweating buckets with aircon on. So like trying to go out for a run is just a disaster. So I kind of wait till it gets cooler. But one of my mates, so you probably saw on the in Instagram, Facebook, Holly Wakely, the world's only junior dive master at the moment. Right. She put a running challenge on to motivate us to whoever the loser is has to guide further till she becomes an instructor every dive. And that helps motivate you to get out in the heat and humidity, because otherwise it's just brutal. But like yourself, mate, being healthy and fit for diving is so important. And back in the UK, you've got to have your HSC medical to teach. If you're not doing that, when you're in America or Bermuda, you don't need a medical. You can be any shape, size, can't walk up a flight of stairs, you're allowed to dive here. In the UK, they'd never allow it. Sort of thing. So it's kind of, I'd say it's very important, because at the end of the day, I'm teaching, I'm guiding, I'm dealing with novice divers. I need to be able to do 3-4 dives a day and still be able to rescue someone and not be struggling. And when you're dealing with the tourist divers, they have issues quite a lot. They dive maybe once every 2 years and do 1 dive or 2 dives a year. And it just comes, you can be, I've had to rescue someone, bring them up the surface, and we were way, way, way from the boat, and I had to tow them all the way back in. So you can see why it is really important to be fit, especially as an instructor. So
we properly got chatting, didn't we, over this critter hunter malarkey?
Yeah, that's when we got really chatting. Yeah, I can't remember how we started speaking. Was it? I think you commented on one of my videos one time, wasn't it? That's how we got speaking. I think probably back in May, April.
It might have been
long ago, but yeah, it was the Critter Hunter challenge. So if anyone's seen it, Justin, the Critter Hunter, he's based in the Philippines, American guy. He's he started these challenges with a group called Triton's Realm in the US Virgin Islands, and they kind of just took off. They did the first challenge, and they started like, the idea was to challenge another channel, another YouTube, trying to bring the YouTube community together.
Yeah.
You know, we're all in the same niche. We might as well help each other instead of trying to be against each other almost.
100% believe that.
So yeah, Justin messaged me going, and Brian Davis Scuba from Dubai, I think you know as well. They gave me a message and was like, right, you're going to be challenged this week, get ready. And they literally sent me a message saying, you're doing a crab with a video clip and with a crab. And I'm like, at that point, I'd probably done, I think I said to you, maybe 400 or 500 dives in Bermuda, and I'd never seen a crab. And I was like, I was about to swear.
It's all right. You swear away.
That's my Glaswegian coming through there. I was like, I better stop there. I was like, pretty much, I remember seeing the video and going, oh shit. I've been trained. And, you know, it took me 40 dives to actually find this crab.
Jeez.
I'm not joking. So it was me and my mate Holly, and one of her friends, Natalie, and her dad, Dr. Dave. They're from Bristol originally. He's dive doctor on Ireland. We just went out. Literally, a hurricane was about to hit us. Hurricane Paulette was about to hit us, and I'm like, I need to get this video done. We went to this inland site almost. It's called Harrington Sound, but it's open to the seas where all the eagle rays are normally, and no visibility. Proper UK diving, about a foot of visibility, murky green. Went down, we all went to go for a dive before, not even looking for, I wasn't going to bring the camera, and there was just crabs everywhere. And that's after like 40 dives looking for these things high and low, and I was like, I can't be bothered, I'm giving up. And then the crabs are right there in your face. I'm like,
Ace.
But I mean, the visibility that night was about a foot of visibility, you know, a metre, less than a metre, really. It was brutal. But it was good old UK diving, and, you know, Dr. Dave and them, and Holly, they're from Bristol originally. She's not used to it. Born in Bermuda, Swaziland, but lives in Bermuda. But like her mum and dad are from Bristol, and he was loving it. He's like, "This is great." And me and him were looking at each other like, Holly and Natalie are going to panic. They've never seen a metre of viz less. Do you know what I mean? They're used to, you know, 20, 30 metres of viz. So we thought they were going to panic. So me and Dr. Dave were constantly looking at them, waiting for them to panic. But they were solid divers, so they were good. But and then of course. In my video, me and Holly challenged you to John Dory.
There's absolutely none of them near where I live. The thing is, I think the joy of doing this kind of thing, it will go on for a while. Like it took you 40 dives, but 40 dives for me might take 6 months.
Yeah.
And literally has took the last 12 months to get that many through. So some of the sites we're going to, we're just doing one a day because it's such a hassle to get to.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they're all freshwater ones, so John Dory.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get John Dory in capers.
No, I've probably got more chance, right, of going to the, what do you call it, the Blue Planet Aquarium and see one in there. I might have to do that, actually. I've got a mate of mine who works at one, so we might be able to square that away and get a dive in there and go, yeah, I found one.
just don't have the walkway in the background for the kids waving at you.
Yes. What made you really go into starting a YouTube channel? Because it's a flipping mission, in it, to do the work for them.
Honestly, I didn't realise how much work goes into it. I mean, I don't know about you, but like one episode probably takes me 20 to 30 hours, maybe longer, to go out, film it, and then it's the edit that kills you. No, I used to put videos up every so often, like sporadically. So how Blue Horizon Diving started was I came back from my travels before I went to Bermuda, and I thought I might as well start a dive school and teach in Glasgow. So I learned in Scotland, I learned in UK waters, and I became an instructor in UK waters. Dived there a long time, and so I started that up, and how it kind of just happened was, you know, the school took off like nothing else, and Scuba Pro partnered with me as an education partner, and it really took off. And then I moved out to Bermuda like 3 months later, and I had, like, you know, my Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook had 3,000 people following me at the time on it, and I was like, I need to keep the content coming out for them because I'm going to go back eventually. I don't want and my school will start again, but it still runs in Glasgow. But I was like, I want to keep these people engaged. So that's kind of how it started. And I just started doing videos, just uploading videos periodically, like once every 3-4 months, you know, maybe Cayman, Mexico, Australia, and a couple in Bermuda. And it wasn't actually till I was in lockdown, probably like yourself, sitting in lockdown, I'm like, there's no real like episodes of diving. Do you know what I mean? I was watching the channel Youngbloods, YBS Youngbloods. I don't know if you've ever seen them. And he puts great content out. Like they're out Australia, going free diving, it's all about the ocean. And I'm like, can I try and do something like scuba diving related? I don't know. Have you ever had Gosling's rum?
No.
Have you ever had a dark and stormy?
Possibly.
Cocktail. So it's a Bermudian cocktail, and it was actually one of the guys from the family, Teddy Gosling, literally was speaking to me, and he's like, "Look, I do a lot of filming, production. What you need to do is you change your YouTube channel instead of just random clips of dives and stuff. Change it to a vlog style, and like take the people on a journey." So that's when I started thinking about it more and more in lockdown. He was giving me advice. So that's when I did a video on Cayman. I got 3,000 views, 13,000 views, and I'm like, okay, that kind of might work. This might work. So I started doing it. I mean, I only had like 120 subs at the time and maybe 100 views a week, a month, a couple hundred views a month. And now it's like keeping to a schedule, getting a video out once every Monday with the schedule, doing the episodes. It's come to like over 700 and 8,000 views a month now, just in the space of a couple of months since lockdown. So
it's nuts, isn't it?
It's nuts how it takes off. You actually commit to it, but it's such a killer to actually get an episode, to actually go out and film it, and actually try and edit it. I don't know if you find the same when you go out and do your videos, when you go up to like the quarries or the Anglesey. Do you not find it takes so much time?
Yeah, and the last one we did was at Hodge Close in the Lake District, and because it was such a sort of logistic effort, and I was kind of the driving force. So generally, I'm not going to take all the credit, but generally, I'm the one that's ringing round who's coming. I'll get the kit together, like the climbing kit, to get us in there, and I'll have the plan. It's nothing formal or anything like that, but so I was the one who sort of, it was bad weather, so I'm getting everyone out of the car, trying to get everything sorted, hooking up all the ropes and the winches and stuff to get stuff lowered in, and not videoing. So I kind of missed most of all of that, and that for me is the hard bit, because then you sit there when you're doing the post-production and go, oh, I've not got that, I didn't do this, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You either have to be fully in front of the camera or fully behind it. You can't be both.
No, and I don't know if you find the same, because I was always used to being behind the camera. So when you first start going in front of the camera speaking, you're like a nervous wreck. And hi, Mark. Someone walks past you and you completely freak. Do you know what I mean? Someone walks past you, you're like, oh, I'm gone. I'm going to start again. But it's trying to get the B-roll. But I think what really, really helps, so you find it, is like, it's your mates, you know, like Josh, Quay, Rafa, and like Holly and them have been absolutely brilliant for me, because they're like, what's the episode this week? What are we doing? Let's go out. And they've really stepped up and really like involved with it. And it's really helped a lot. So that's why like they're happy to be in front of the camera. They're happy to have a laugh. We just have fun with it. Like I started putting outtakes at the end of the videos because we muck up so much when we're together. It's unreal. You know, we just lose it and we just burst out laughing, and it just goes all the time. It takes us so many attempts. There was one video we did, I think it's called Narcosis Back. It's when Bermuda's dive boat went back in, and me and my mate Quay, we did a section of him talking about the Narcosis. It's a Newton 42 custom Newton dive boat, and we fill the tanks on it. So we're talking about all that. We did the whole sketch. He said, let's watch the footage back. And his hand was doing this in the background. The whole time he went, nope, no, I'm not having that. I look stupid. Let's redo it. Made us redo the whole take again. Yeah. And he then decided he didn't like the way his sunglasses were sitting on his cap. I'm like, you're joking. I'm like, so we wind him up all the time. Like he's the biggest diva on camera.
Prima donna.
Prima donna, beyond belief. And I'm like, mate, we've done this 3 times. It's fine. He's like, no, I don't look good. I'm like, oh, come on, give us a break here, man.
I totally sympathise with him, or empathise with him there, because the looking good bit, nobody's actually looking at you and going, oh, your hair, look at that little curl you've got there, or your tash is not quite twisted up the same. no one's looking at that. They're just looking at what the content is. Is it funny? Is it interesting? And I agree with you with the outtakes. I'd probably leave them during. Like I was doing one. It was me little how-to videos in the garage, and for whatever reason, I had my phone on the tripod. It might have been with something to read off it, and it somehow Siri on my phone picked me up talking. I went, I can't help you with that, and I'm like, I don't know. Oh, what are you on about? I'm not even asked you anything. Not even touched it, but I thought it kind of adds that bit of personality and that it's missing. If you try and be someone you're not, it's so obvious and it's not interesting. It just knocks it away, doesn't it?
No, I mean that's one of my recent videos we did searching for octopus dens, and we were just going in. It was me and Holly jumping in before Hurricane Epsilon hit us.
Yeah.
And we're doing the intro clip, and like you, I kept it in at the beginning as well. So we're chatting away the camera, saying what the plan is, and the big gust of wind, you just see the camera just go flying. Just go off the camera, just go. And I'm like, last two, I just lost it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the camera up, fighting the hurricane force winds that are starting to blow up, fighting the camera. Nice. And I'm like, no, I've got to keep it in. You know, you've got to keep it. It just adds to it, but it does make the. You know, when you got like a good vibe off someone, you have a good laugh, it just makes it as well. Do you know what I mean? You've got friends that get on as well, it helps, just adds to the content. But sometimes you do look back and think, did we really say that? Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had those moments.
Yeah, maybe. I think what I've certainly taken away from this conversation, but in the back of my mind for the sort of stuff that I want to progress doing, there's a book, I've got it here actually, Top 100, I don't know if you can see that, I put it there.
Great
Top
book.
100. You've got it?
I've got it, it's a great book.
Yeah, well, I'd like to perhaps do all of those dives. I've done quite a few of them, but I'd like to perhaps do them all as a series on my YouTube, as a proper dive site guide, but video guide.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been doing over the summer, but because I'm so, let's just say it, nervous of standing in front of the camera talking, and messing up, perhaps, I haven't done it the way I'd like to. So I'd perhaps like to revisit and do it more, like you said, a video blog, because it is more endearing and you can show off more of what that site is, rather than just go, it's under Northern Diver, this is whatever it is, and then just go and show the dive site.
Yeah.
You need that bit of personality, but if you, probably not where you are now, but I've noticed more and more, people are walking around with their phones in front of them rather than held at the side of the head. Sorry to interrupt this episode to drop another plug for my Patreon account, but I do spend several hours on each episode in the search for new guests, the recording, post-production, the advertising, and sometimes days on my YouTube videos. So to help me keep up with its production and the frequency of releases, I'm asking for you to become a sponsor on Patreon of the Are You a Scuba Diver Fancy a Brew podcast. When you become a supporter, not only will you have my undying appreciation for helping to support the podcast, but you'll be able to take advantage of some of the many tiered benefits that come with it, some of which includes official merchandise. If you'd like to become a patron, go to www.patreon.com/fancyaBrew. There you'll see all the many levels of subscription and how to join the Fancy a Brew community. So without further ado, let's get back to this episode. So when I interviewed David Diley really early on, I think it was about episode 15 or something like that, and he said there's more and more people now looking into their phones and talking, so you're just someone else doing that. Forget that somebody's walking past, they won't even look at you now because you're just somebody doing what everybody else is doing, whether it be Instagram crap or whatever it is that people are doing.
You even hear you say it all the time, but do you not find it quite funny? Like, I remember I was teaching a dry suit, I know Bermuda dry suit course, but I was teaching a dry suit course a couple of weeks back here, and they were off to uni in Southampton, so they wanted to get the dry suit before they went to uni, and we're doing the dry suit course, and you see this girl walking around with like a GoPro vlogging and everything, and it just looks so strange when you actually see it, and you're like, is that what I look like when I do this? Do you know what I mean? I'm saying, I don't know about you, like, I struggle to do it on the boat. Like, we get out to a dive site, I can see the wreck below me, I try and vlog it on the boat, but because you're on a boat full of like 15 other people, they all just watch you, and I just buckle, and I'm just like, I'm not doing it. I'll get back on the dock, and I'll wait for them all to leave, and then I'll sit on the boat and do it.
Well, when we went up to Oban at the beginning of September, we did the basking shark trip, so the B-roll bit was really easy for me. because my phone being quite a good one, the quality of video on that was really good. So I could do a lot of B-roll on that and no one had noticed. The only downside was I kept forgetting to put it in landscape, which got a different perspective, because if you have it like that, it's then cropped when you do turn it. So I was forgetting to do that quite a lot. What I found when I wanted to do little bits to camera is it was better to have the people on the boat behind me. So I go and stand at the back of the boat and just, you know, be looking out to sea, but actually looking at my camera. And largely they wouldn't know. And obviously with COVID measures, there was only about half a dozen people on the boat. But can you imagine it being a small rib with 12 tech divers on over a couple of stages each, and you're trying to do a piece to camera? They'll all be like, ah, woo, wanker.
They would hate you. They would just abuse you non-stop.
And rightly so.
Exactly.
Short of you not having 35,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, how do you find it's better to promote the videos that you do? Do you go spamming loads of pages on Facebook? Do you just put them on your Facebook page?
Yeah, I've got like 3,000 on my over 3,000 on my Facebook page with the Horizon Diving one. So I just kind of put it up there, and I may occasionally drop it into like a specific group sort of thing. But I don't like spamming on heaps of thing. And occasionally I'll put it up if I've done something relevant. Say like Reddit, I find pretty good. Like so when we did Octopus, there's things on like underwater creatures or something. So I shared that video onto there, and it got really well received. Do you know what I mean? And people were like, "Oh, I love that." When I did the ocean cleanup video, I put it into just a Reddit page called Marine Conservation, and it was really well received. Like, "Oh, I love seeing you guys doing this, getting out of COVID." So I try and be very, very. If I'm going to put it to page, I try and be very, very selective. But I don't like spamming pages, if that makes sense. I don't know how you've done it yourself. So mainly I just put it through my Instagram, Facebook, and a specific page for that specific topic what that video is on, and that's it. I know like people have spoken to me and said, no, stick it to every single page relevant. I'm like, I don't want to be hated at the same time and annoy people and do that every time, because people just get sick of it. So I try and be very particular. And if I put it on a page, I won't put it on that page for another couple of months, just to not be like a spam.
I find Instagram easier to be selective, because you can tag the people that are in it, and obviously, say the thumbnail that I've got on this podcast for you. If you're wearing a particular dry suit, I'll tag that brand. Okay. I'll tag obviously you in it and your branding.
Yeah.
If you've got a particular computer on, I'll probably tag that. If it's on a particular subject, let's say we're doing a shark video, I'd tag various shark groups in it, but I wouldn't go and tag something to do with somewhere else just to get them to have a look. It'd be quite specific. So your hashtags and your actual tagging of the people that are in it. Whereas Facebook, I think, has gotten harder to use in that respect, because a lot of the pages are now locked down, so you can't advertise anything because people have been spamming. And then because the amount of people that have been spamming and their quality might not be as good, it's easy to get tarred with the same brush.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel Facebook's less relevant now compared to like Instagram. That's what I'm finding. Like engagement on a post on Facebook to Instagram, I'm getting heaps more on Instagram side. So like, I just put it on my Facebook page, and pretty much that's kind of where I leave it on Facebook, and then I'll share it myself and tag a couple of mates who are in the video, and they kind of share it around. And then Instagram same, I tag people being in the video, share it around. But I never thought of tagging brands like that, because I dive with not this Garmin, but like a Shearwater.
Yeah.
And of course I have my Shearwater in the clips sometimes, and I probably should tag that. But I try and be careful, because because I'm an educated partner of Scuba Pro, I always kind of try and make sure the Scuba Pro is front and centre as well. Sort of thing. They don't require it to be in videos, it's just I'm education partner with them. But I just want they've been brilliant for me, absolute brilliant guys, so supportive. Even when I moved to Bermuda, the US group supported me as well through there as well, when I came across. So I don't want to kind of like peeve them off as well, so I like try and make sure they're promoted even though it's not a requirement.
You've got to keep your hand in with them though, because it does look better as a business model for them if they've got someone that's representing them, that actually represents them.
Exactly. I mean, all it is meant to be is just by Blue House Diving is they do a Scuba Pro authorised education partner called C Program, and that's kind of how my relationship started. And just by literally emailing them saying, starting this up, you guys interested? And they were like, yeah, because they want instructors to have their kit, because then the students they're teaching will buy Scuba Pro kit. So that's kind of why it works quite well. I know that partnership doesn't work in the US, it's mainly just a European thing, but it helped me out so much. You get great price on kit, they support you and put you on your tech courses and everything, so you can service all the kit and everything. So absolutely brilliant guys, got so much time for Scuba Pro, so that's why I kind of want to feel like I'm showcasing them in front to keep them happy as well, even though they don't ask for that.
Yeah. How did you meet Viv and Alan? Had you just been out to Malta before?
Yeah, I've been at Malta before. I started my tech courses with Alan. It was actually not Alan that did it. It was one of his other guys who did it. And then went back. The weather was crap. We got blown out most days. So I actually went and did my tech courses in Mexico. And I did them in the cenotes and a couple of the dives out at Playa del Carmen, which was amazing. My tech instructor, I was convinced, tried to kill me. No, I'm joking. My tech instructor was phenomenal. A guy called Angel Navarro. Did you ever meet Andy Phillips?
No.
No, he was from Scotland. He runs Tiller Dive Centre. Phenomenal guy. Big rebreather diver, big technical diver. Done the Andrea Doria in New York and stuff. Really well known. Unfortunately, he passed away in a diving accident last year in St. Lawrence River on the rebreather.
Right.
But yeah, he worked with Angel and he told me go down with Angel. Angel will really push you. And I mean, you've done your tech stuff, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was your instructor brutal with you, or was he pretty?
Only I was at 51 meters, and I had to put a DSMB up from 51 meters for some reason. I think he added that in. And so I'd done that, and then I was looking at my slate, and I had like a minute or maybe 2 minutes to get to 21 meters, my first stop. And you know when you just have that little bit of that phase of fogginess, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And the next thing, I got a punch on the side of the head, and he's like, get up, dickhead. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, yeah. And that was about it. that was a beast in.
What he did it with me, so we were in the cenote, the pit. The pit's a phenomenal cenote, right? We've been down 45 meters first dive, we came back up, all fine. He swapped his tanks out, and he told me, you're keeping your tanks. So I had like 100 bar in one, 80 bar in the other, and I had my Deco bottles. And I'm like, all right, okay. Maybe 120, 100. And he's like, we're just going to go down 40 meters, work our way back up. I'm like, sound, okay. I'm putting new tanks on, so all your tech divers just now are hating this story. So he's like, I'm training you here because you're going to dive here. So we went down to 30 meters, staged my Deco bottle. That was pretty much full. That still had about 160 bar, if not more.
Yeah.
Went down 40, came back up. I just went down, spent a couple of bit down, started working my way back up. And he's like, right, get your Deco bottle. Start getting my Deco bottle, rips my mask clean off. All right, and I wear contact lenses, so I'm like, crap. Do you know what I mean? So I shot, I was diving side mount configuration, getting my spare mask out, put my mask and clear it, go to get the Deco bottle again. He literally goes and does the broken reg, free flowing reg, you're doing the shutdown drill. And I'm like, we're still at 30 meters. I'm like, come on, man, all right? So get that done. We start going back up. We get to 18 meters, we do our no-talk switch.
Yeah.
And I do my no-talk switch, and I go for my reg, I breathe it. Nothing comes from the tank. The gauge says it's like 150, 160 bar in it. Nothing comes from the reg. And, it's apex we're diving. And I'm like, no, that's not right. Check the valve the other way. I'm like, well, it's gone. He then checked it. He's like, you saw the colour in his face drain. He's thinking, we'll go down. He's got the rest of the dive, he's going to be in the Deco bottle. Now the kit is completely malfunctioned. There's Deco bottle. So he's like, right, okay, let's head up to, what's your computer saying? So we had simulated stops, but we just moved up to the actual stops.
Yeah.
That were being required. So we moved up to the actual stops. It was 9 meters the first one, did that, and he did a couple more drills with me. I'm doing all right. Like, all right, I'm doing all right. And he did the cave technique where he makes you unhook your tank and hang it. So because you're running low in the air, your weights, the first stage will drag you down almost as like a counterweight. So I did that, and when it's 6 meters, he's like, stick your SMB up. So I'm sticking my SMB up, and he goes behind me and turns the valve off, all right, when I'm sticking my SMB up, right? So I'm like, fine, we're solid here. I know I've got like 20 bar in this tank, 30 bar in this tank. We're now at a 3 meter stop, and he starts free flowing my leg again. all right? And at this tank, so my tank's only got like 20 bars, so I know this thing's dead now. I go and hook up, clip it up, wait for it, start doing the shutdown, swap over to the other tank, and I take a breath and nothing comes from it. And I thought the tank was gone. And I mean, you know, the feeling of dread. I look at my computer and I'm like, that tank's leaked. I've still got like 4 or 5 minutes of Deco to do it 3 minutes here. Right? Thinking, what am I doing? What have I got to do here? And he always said, like all your tech followers would say as well, you can end a dive on your own. You know, a tech dive, you have to be self-reliant, so you can end a dive on your own.
Yeah.
I'm sitting, I could have gone out of there, gone for his air, and I'm like, no. And I just turned the valve, and you just heard that come through, and that was like the greatest feeling ever. I've actually got air in this dive, and he's like, "You okay?" And I'm like,
"Fine, mate."
Shaking away, like gone, and like I'm like, okay, get up. He's like, "All right, you're awesome, congratulations, that's you completed the course and finished and everything. You did the right thing. I want to see you thought it through, thought the problem through, and sorted it with all the other ones, and you had a real problem happen as well." And I'm like, I hate you. But no, he was sound, absolutely brilliant, and just it made me a better diver. Like you being an instructor as well, I say to every instructor, the instructors get complacent. You know, they think, oh, I'm at the top of my game. I'm an instructor. You know, I've been an instructor for 12 years now. I became instructor at 18, and you know, you get comfortable. You know, you think there's not much more to learn. Do you know what I mean? When you're teaching all the time, and when I went, it was when someone told me, do tech, intro to tech, or do tech, or do intro to cave. And every instructor should do it. And I mean, that's probably one of the best advice I was given as instructor, because it realized that there's so much more to learn, and you're just nowhere near it, and you're always learning. And my mindset is always, you're always learning. But I don't know about you, every instructor, I reckon, should always do an intro to cave or a tech course, one of them or both, just to take them to that next level and realize that there's so much more you do not know. So when I first learned, I kind of did like scuba diver in Fuerteventura. And I always remember it. So I was telling Brian this. I learned in Fuerteventura, like I was meant to be on the, you know, do you remember the Discover Scuba Diver? Have you done that?
No.
So we went to a DSD, me and my wee sister. And wee sister we decided another banana boat ride and got absolutely smashed in the head on the way down. So her head swelled up like a balloon. So she was like died. And they said, let's do, instead of refunding her, why does Mark not do the DSD? Sorry, the scuba diver course, which is, so the scuba diver course is like half the open water course, all right? But you're only like certified to 12 meters with a PADI Pro. Right? So I did the course, absolutely loved it. Deep Blue were brilliant, absolutely brilliant guys, top quality. So I did that back in 2006, and I didn't dive for about 18 months until I was in Bulgaria. And this is where you've always got to watch out where you're watching with dive centres you dive with as well. So we went on this wreck, and we went to dive. I've not dived in 18 months. I've only got 2 dives. I'm qualified to maximum depth of 12 meters. We're down in this wreck, and we're swimming through this wreck, and this Russian diver's diving buses up, down, constantly losing it. I remember we did maybe 25 minutes first dive, sorry. And the guy's like, oh, you went through your air very quick. You need to take your time, relax, blah, blah, blah. We went down the second dive, went onto another wreck. Again, going through the wreck, through the wheelhouse and everything of it, maybe 25 minutes dive. And he's like, you're still going through your air too quick. You're still going through your air too quick. You need to just relax, calm down. He filled my logbook in. He wrote 32 meters on my third dive.
Wow.
32 meters penetrating a wreck, right? And I'm like, look at my card. I'm like, 12 meters, you put 32. And he's like, oh. He's like, that's why you're not good on air. Second one was 20 meters as well. Second dive was 24. Second dive of the day was 28 meters. So my third dive and fourth dive was 32 meters and 28 meters penetrating a wreck. Awesome. And I'm only qualified to 12 meters. Do you know what I mean? And I've not even done like a full mask replace yet. You know, that comes in open water 3 of the open water course. I've not even taken my mask off yet. Do you know what I mean? So complete bandits. You got to learn to like check research centres. So I came back to Glasgow and was like, I need to go and find a dive centre. Emailed out, one came back, and I just remember doing my open water course, and when I walked into the dive centre, they didn't believe my logbook. They're like, there's no way your third dive's 32 meters. And I'm like, the guy stamped it. It's got the dive shop signed. It's real. He was like, that is so dangerous. And when I started working through the levels of open water village, it was such bandit operations. And I remember I was sitting in my first open water dive, Loch Long, fast lane, on the platform. If you've been up there, like near Arrowcurve, the glen comes down the valley, and it's just the rain's flushing down, all the peat washes in. And I'm looking at my SPG right in front of my face, and I can't even see it.
No way.
Like tea. And I'm like, is this what diving's about? But it was opening. But like you, UK diving is so underrated. I don't know how you feel about that.
But if you can cope with it, it's never going to be warm.
No.
And it's never going to be great viz. But there's an awful lot to see. And now that I've got better with my camera, you can't see it, but it's at the back of me. Decent camera, decent lenses on it. But having things like that and understanding how to use it and having a GoPro and stuff makes UK diving for me so much more fun. And having a YouTube channel where I can show off what we can offer. Being completely self-sufficient, there's loads to see. There's wrecks, there's reefs, there's all sorts of marine life underwater that I can get a grip of with my GoPro or my camera, and my wife will be interested, and we can be self-sufficient doing it.
There's a website, I don't know if you've ever gone at Finstrokes.
Yes.
Yeah, Finstrokes. It's all that, and now he's now expanded pretty much around the rest of the UK. But that's pretty much everyone in Scotland uses that website for the dive sites. It's got click on it, dive site, look, map of it, a bit about it. We can get airfills.
Yeah.
Bar. It's really good. It's pretty much what everyone in the Glasgow or Scotland lived off if to go explore new sites, and loads and loads of wicked sites all along the sea locks. But yeah, be prepared to the 3 meter viz. So, or less, but I mean, I don't know. Have you dived St. Abbs?
No, I've dived slightly further down at Sea Houses, so we've done the Farne Islands a couple of times, but
Farne Islands is awesome, isn't it? The seals.
Oh mate, the first time I ever did it, I'm not going to lie, that's the most nervous I've ever been in the water. As a diver, that is. They're bigger than me, them seals, aren't they? They are big. And it's when you drop down and suddenly a big pebble blinks at you and you go, oh, it's not a pebble, it's a seal.
It's when he starts like coming on and starts munching on your glove. And you're like, you're playing with it and he starts pushing, you're like, oh, okay, just back off a bit now, isn't it? I remember we last dive, I've got a video on my YouTube channel actually of down the Farne, so we had absolute blast, and they're obsessed with white fins. I don't know what it is, but they've got a thing with white fins.
Yeah.
Just literally grab on the white fins and just hold on. It looks quite wrong when you actually see the clip.
Quite wrong. I need to see it now.
It literally looks like he's trying to mount the fins.
The amount of people that I've told where I've had a seal in front of me, and almost like you'd have a dog and you'd be scratching its ears, rubbing its face, and if you get the right end, the last time we went in August and they weren't as keen, whereas if you go September, October, and even later perhaps, they're just so used to it.
Yeah.
You can almost go and lie next to one that's having a kip on the bottom and scratch its belly.
It's phenomenal, because we went in September, and I remember that it used to come up to us and start rubbing into you, so you start tickling under the chin and the side. It is like a puppy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I remember I didn't get to the last dive because one of the seals was chewing my SPG hose. So literally when we went in, my mate Ian literally looked at me and went, "No, you up." And I went, "What's wrong?" Your hose is completely got holes the whole way along.
Wow.
The whole way. Seal tried to bite the whole thing.
Crap.
I was gutted, but you just have to love them though. It's amazing. But if you get a chance, check out St. Abbs. Pathfinder, they've got, as you were talking to me earlier about Plymouth, they've got the diver lits on the back of the boat. Brilliant diving there, loads of dead man fingers, goldfish, so much life, and it's got good visibility actually.
Right.
Definitely worth a shout. And check out Northeast Diving, the Chris and Kat. They used to live in Banff, but really northern Aberdeen.
Yeah.
But they now run a expedition charter boat now, and they dive all the remote islands around Scotland, and they've got their own compressor, they've sort of accommodation for the week, and they run these trips to like far-flung places in Scotland that you'll never be able to get to diving, and do it for a week. And I mean, they've got DSAC clubs from pretty much throughout the whole of the UK just booking them up, and the trips are awesome, but you're going to get to places that you can't physically get to, so it's like phenomenal. So definitely check them out for yourself, to get to these places if you're struggling for that neck of the woods.
Earlier on you said when you finished in Bermuda you're going to crack on with the rest of the world, so what's your next spot, or have you not planned it yet?
No, well, I'm going to be in St. Lucia at Christmas, I think, and then I'm going to be in Florida beginning of January, and I'll be doing a couple of collaborations with some channels. So hopefully, you know, Divers Ready, James Divers Ready.
Yeah.
We've been chatting about doing a wee collaboration when I'm in. He's in Miami, so we'll probably do some with him and International Scuba Divers Club. Alejandro runs that. He's as well. Does a lot of tech diving, so we're going to do hopefully some wicked stuff there in January and some wicked stuff in St. Lucia. So, but top of the list, Galapagos. I just want to get to Galapagos.
You know, I didn't know there's 40 wrecks around Bermuda. What kind of depths are they? How warm's that?
Yeah, so we've got 400 wrecks.
400.
400 wrecks. 400 wrecks. Max, to be honest, deepest ones we got is 60 meters. To the shallowest are like 8 meters. There's some really wicked ones, and you can get like, if you go out to Argus Tower, it's an old Cold War listening tower station that got decommissioned after the Cold War, and they cut it and they sunk it, and it's about 25 miles offshore. 3 sea mounts, so it's on the Argus Bank one, and literally you have to be careful because there's no Coast Guard here. Well, there's a Coast Guard, but they can only go a couple miles offshore, but there's like no helicopters, nothing. We're 645 miles away from the nearest landmass anyway, which is North Carolina. So you're out there, you're on your own. If the shit hits the fan, the shit hits the fan out there. It takes about 2 hours to steam out, but it starts at 30 meters. It looks like probably oil rig legs,
like a derrick.
Meters it goes, and the cranes and all that are around about 60 meters, and you get a lot of big pelagics out there. So you'll get tigers, you'll get Duskies, oceanic white tips. A couple of weeks ago, there was a great white shark out there cruising around there. So you get some big stuff out there. Mantas were out there. 2 days ago, there's some mantas out there. But it's wicked dives where all the tech divers go all the time out there. And then Challenger Bank starts about 45 meters and then drops down. So like Bermuda, it's like a plateau. It's only 21 square miles, but the reef kind of goes out 300 square miles of reef we have around, but then it gets like 2 miles on South Shore and it just drops 2,500 meters, and it's about 8 miles on North Shore and it drops 2,500 meters.
Wow.
Necton did a really cool survey here, and a lot of really tech cave divers were here, and they were down at like 90 meters going through cave systems under the seamount as well. So that was pretty incredible to listen to them. So there's some pretty serious diving here if you want it. And one of the guys, do you follow the guy called this? He created is it Postrus Rebreather or something? Brian Davis will tell you about it. He was wanting to come out here and do this stuff. And one of the questions he asked is, can CCR diving be catered here? It can be catered here. But if you're definitely sending your kit, bring in a gear developer box or send it in advance if you've got your, your scrubber stuff, what you call it again?
Softener line.
Softener line, I'm blank in mind, yeah. So if you have issues bringing that on planes, send it 3 weeks in advance for you. Probably is the best bet if you're coming out here, because that's the question we get asked a lot is for rebreathers. Some pretty cool wrecks out here. You'd enjoy it. You'd actually really like it.
When you said like there's no sort of emergency medical services available, for those more offshore.
Don't get me wrong, there's a chamber in Bermuda. So there is a chamber. Holly's dad, Dr. Dave, is the chamber operator.
Right.
So there's a chamber here, but available. For us, if shit hits the fan, we're calling the US Coast Guard. We're hoping there's a British vessel.
Really?
UK territory. So normally, being a UK territory, there's normally a vessel not far between us and Cayman or BVI or something.
Yeah.
There's always one hovering around here, which is great. So they'd probably be the one that would come and help with the rescue, or a US Coast Guard cutter would come out from North Carolina probably. But yeah, we are remote here at 21 square miles. It literally looks like a fish shoot. You ever seen a map? It looks like a little fish shoot. But there's 65,000 people here, so it's busy.
About the size of Wigan.
Pretty much.
So is there any jobs going for a forensic biologist out there?
Honestly, there probably is.
Well, keep asking around and we might move out. Okay, I don't know if we'll be able to afford to though. It's pretty cheap in it out there.
It's so expensive out here. Like, okay, plant of strawberries, how much do you reckon? What are they in Asda, like 120?
Nah, maybe about £2 or £3, maybe.
Okay. So what do you reckon they're here?
Is it like Monaco prices, so about £35?
Not as bad as $13 for a wee box of strawberries, and half of them are mouldy. It's killer here. Like average rent here is $3,500 a month. You can't own property unless you have like $1 million in your bank account to buy one of them. Otherwise, you have to rent. They don't let you buy like $300,000 houses. You have to rent. So Bermuda's got a nice wee, I don't want to say scheme, but it works out well for the locals. They build big houses, split them into units, and then just make a killing of all the expats paying rent. Quite a lot of them can just chill, enjoy their life, and pick up. Like my unit here is split into 5 houses, and he picks up between $3,500 and $5,000 per unit a month. So they've got a nice scheme set up here.
It's all right for some minute. On that note, mate, let's get off, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other at some point in the future. Whether it be colder waters around here or warmer waters around there, one or the other.
Oh, definitely, mate. And honestly, you're always welcome. If you're ever right this way, give me a shout and we'll get you out for some dives, honestly, mate.
I'll return that favour, but I'm sure you'll never turn up at my front door.
You might regret that, right?
I might see you at like one at shows or something. That's probably more likely, isn't it? Well, I tell you what, as soon as I find that John Dory though, I'll definitely be in touch, if not before.
So that brings us to an end of episode 45 with my friend Mark Wynne. Links to all the things we discussed are in the podcast notes. You've been listening to Are You a Scuba Diver? Fancy a Brew podcast with me, Andy the Northern Diver. You can find more scuba related content on my YouTube channel. The link is in the podcast notes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leaving us a 5-star review. And to become a patron of the podcast, visit www.patreon.com/fancyaBrew. There you'll be able to see the different levels of subscription and how to join the Fancy a Brew community. If there's someone or something you'd like us to discuss, please let us know via our Facebook page. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one.